This almost beautiful looking keyboard is one of the best bang for buck yet. I'm Rio Gion and this is Rio Gion Keyboards. The front is so almost perfect. There's no logo and it's very understated, but the keycaps is the only thing that's really holding it back from being this absolutely beautifully laid out standard open key design. Wow, it's just the keycaps is the only thing that's holding this keyboard back from just looking absolutely marvelous. If you can change the keycaps, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. As you can tell, I absolutely just adore this design, how there's no logos. And it's even marketed as a gaming keyboard too, which is just that much better. The LED light is inside the switch instead of on top, similar to Corsair, and that's great. They really listen, and they made really good efforts. And this switch is a long HuaHua switch, which is my first time ever using it. I'm going to talk more on that later, but in terms of the switch LED-like design, they made a home run here. Just a home run. They use Cherry MX stabilizers, which is awesome because it makes it so easy to clean. Along with this open layout style, is just so fantastically done. Words cannot express enough how many checkboxes this keyboard has to check off. It's just great. And as you guys can tell, I'm loving this keyboard already. The keycap is actually not that bad too. It's made with that same sort of cheapy-ish ABS, but it's really nice and soft. It's just the font that's a giant turnoff. It's also double shot, but not fully. It's just sort of in the front where the font is. And it's not the worst keycap, but it's definitely not the best. And once again, it's just the font, guys. It goes back to the font, how it really just drags the keyboard from this sort of perfect thing. The flip-up feet has this little sliver of rubber on them to keep the board planted, and believe it or not, they actually do a pretty good job. And along with that, you do have rubber paddings on the board. The back's pretty plain and simple. I don't know what this little crease is. I believe they pretty much use the same chassis on some other boards with a wrist rest, because I can't find a wrist rest on mine. Maybe you can find it on yours, but I can't find it on mine. And besides that, of course, nothing is perfect. So you do have a rubber cable, which some of you actually do like them to be rubber instead of braided. I like them braided. And along with rubber cable, you do have silver tip USB, which once again, you guys tend to care less and less, but I still dig gold. Another really weak link is the software. This keyboard is a gaming keyboard and you can have macro features. Every single key is macroable to my knowledge, but in terms of just the overall effects and execution, they really need to step up their game. It's very user friendly. As you can already tell, there's very minimal buttons. The learning curve is not steep whatsoever, but in terms of execution, as in sometimes I may macro a key and it doesn't work. or I have certain features enabled and it shows that it's enabled, but it's not really enabled. There's lots of communication issues between the software and the keyboard itself, almost as if they kind of hate each other. But in terms of just the overall amount of effects for lighting, is glorious. But in terms of customizations of the lightings, let's say something like a Corsair board where you have layers upon layers upon layers of effects, this is not the case. This is not the keyboard. So if you want layers, you're gonna have to find something else and pay an arm and a leg for it, but still. And now we come to the customization features, and notice how every single time when I click on something, it doesn't work. That's a big issue. That's a really big issue, because that's basically a feature that's supposed to be there, but it's not, so they're lying to me. After doing a little bit of digging around the internet, I figured out that these long HuaHua switches came from kale. This just made my mind blown, because it feels so much like Adorned. It feels so smooth. I mean, every single click, every single stroke feels glorious. And kale, I gotta be honest, it's not as good as this. But to know that it stems from kale is quite interesting. And overall, I am very satisfied with how well these switches feel, and also very satisfied with how well these switches sound. They sound absolutely perfect. I gotta be honest with you guys, upon reviewing this keyboard, it has a lot of heart. It has a lot of potential. It's a new kid on the block and it needs to prove itself. But here's the thing though, you need to go in with a grain of salt for this particular keyboard, because there are features that are great, but there are also things that are not. And if you really want a fully customizable RGB keyboard for a very budget-friendly price, then you're gonna have to look elsewhere. This isn't the keyboard for you. But if you just want a keyboard with RGB features, and you basically are the ones that just sort of set one color or set a certain combinations for a very long time, then change it later on, maybe once a month or once a couple of weeks, something like that, then this keyboard is right. The switch feels good, they're very snappy, and I don't know how long they will last, but you're not paying an arm and a leg. You're not even paying $100. So it's good, but it's also bad. But in terms of bang for buck, I say this is one of the top contenders. Easily one of the top contenders. If I were to review this keyboard before I made my top 3, this would have been part of that top 3. But it's not. And of course it has its flaws. Overall, I say for $70, you got a great deal here. And let's be honest, for the ones that watch my videos consistently, you guys know I rarely yet ever recommend keyboards. But I'm going to give this a recommendation because of how low the price is. And of course, prices do fluctuate, so just keep an eye out for them. Anyways, if you like the content, please leave it a like and consider subscribing for more awesome content.